like to call the order of the Milan Area Schools Board of Education regular meeting for Wednesday, June 25th, 2025. Would everyone please rise as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you to everyone attending this evening, as well as those who will be watching the recording. All board members are present. And we will begin with communications and community engagement. A reminder that this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public meeting. There are 2 times for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. When addressing the board, you will be asked to state your name. The board determines the amount of time granted to individuals or groups to speak. Each person shall be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes. Board members may question speakers but are not obligated to answer questions or make statements or commitments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such items will be referred to the superintendent for advisement, investigation, study, and/or recommendation, or designated as future agenda items for board consideration. Are there any students who'd like to address the board? Are there any public members who'd like to address the board? All right. Hearing none, we will move on to routine matters for approval. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the budget hearing of June 4th, 2025.
Moved by Heike.
Support by Burdette.
It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the budget hearing of June 4th, 2025. Any concerns? Seeing none, it's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the budget hearing of June 4th, 2025. Ms. Murray.
Thank you. Heike?
Yes.
Murray? Yes. Pryor?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Burdette?
Yes.
Farrell?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
And motion carries 7-0.
Next, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 4th, 2025.
Moved by Heike. Support by Pryor.
It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 4th, 2025. Any concerns? Hearing none, it's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 4th, 2025. Ms. Murray.
Murray, yes. Pryor?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Burdette?
Yes.
Farrell?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Heike?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Right. Next up, just a short discussion about the 2025-2026 Big Red Chat dates. Did I miss something? What did I miss? Oh, I missed the board meeting dates. Yeah, we got to get to those first. I apologize. So board organization. I need a motion to approve the 2025-2026 board meeting dates as detailed in attachment A.
Moved by Farrell.
Support by Gutierrez.
It's been moved and supported to approve the 2025-2026 board meeting dates as detailed in attachment A. We had a first reading on these, and I don't believe there was any concerns raised, so any concerns with the schedule? All right, it's been moved and supported to approve the 2025-2026 board meeting dates as detailed in attachment A. Ms. Murray.
Thank you. Pryor?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Burdette?
Yes.
Farrell?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Heike?
Yes. Murray,
Yes. And motion carries 7-0.
All right, now on to Big Red Board Chats. We are looking forward to the presentation from our communications committee this evening. And one of the things that was a result of the first committee that we had with the board was renewing our Big Red Board Chats. We did that to various levels of success or not success. We are going to continue to have, we're going to go ahead and continue to schedule those. As far as I'm concerned, we have the 2 that are already scheduled for the end of this, the 2 at the end of this year for September and November, I believe. And then we have some proposed dates for the 2026. I think we're going to hear some things from the committee in their report in regards to the Big Red Board Chats. I mean, I think we've all attended the Big Red Board Chats and have seen the attendance and seen the various levels of participation in those. I still see value in them myself, in continuing them to allow for that two-way communication. That's why I think we should commit to continue to have them. Obviously, we can have more discussion on ways to improve them. Mr. McMahon possibly has some ideas that we can move forward with those as well. I just wanted to hear other folks' thoughts on that as we move forward. Obviously, it's a little before we get the report from the communications committee, but I did want to get it out in front of folks that we are, I think as a board, we are committed to having those moving forward as far as two-way communication, and if there's a way to improve those moving forward. So other thoughts on Big Red Board Chats?
Mr. Sislo?
Yeah, Ms. Gutierrez.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for bringing this to the agenda. I agree that I think they are an important continued tool to have the opportunity for our community to have two-way communication with us. I might suggest that at least until we see how attendance will be, that we move it to a room or a space that feels a bit more collaborative than like we're presenting something. It's meant to be a conversation, and the last several have been in the Simons Auditorium, which is much too large of a space for the number of people that are attending, and it does feel like we're not able to have an easy dialogue because we're standing in the front and the attendees are many, many rows back, and there's just a few in the room. So I've been in this room when this was seated as like a table that could be collaborative, or thinking about a space that we might be more amenable to the number of people that we have in attendance.
That's a very valid point.
Mr. Sislo?
Yeah, Ms. Heika.
Adding on to that, I mean, I would also consider if we move them off the side of the schools, right? So could we do them at the Owl? Could we do them at Peppers? I mean, because then you also we get the people who are intending to come, but then you also might get people who are just walking by and see you there, might not have realized that that was what was going on. I'm just trying to find ways to get more people engaged and to find people and honestly meet them, where they are. I know that on any given night at the Owl, there's a lot of moms that are there waiting for the kids to get out of dance class, and there's a lot of people at Peppers waiting for the kids at the softball fields and baseball fields, and so I'm just kind of wondering if that's a way to catch those parents who can't be there because they're with their kids doing the other things that we want them to do too.
That's a valid point as well, and that's the way they were when we first started it. We did go out to the area businesses, so and I especially think with Mr. McMahon's proposal of enhancing the relationship between the community and the schools, I see that as a valid point as well. So others?
Can we use a library, Mr. Peterman?
Sure. We don't have a lot of space, but sure, yes, I would totally support that, but it's kind of long.
All right, so I just looked up the dates. So we have one scheduled for September 23rd, November 13th, and then some proposed dates of February 10th and April 16th. So we'll get those on the calendar moving forward. We can have more discussion about that, but the points that were brought up this evening, and maybe we'll hear more, some more recommendations from our committee, and also as we start to work with Mr. McMahon and his goals of community communication. We want that to evolve, and it needs to be improved. It needs to be better, and we're committed to doing that. So, any other thoughts? All right, cool. Thank you. Next up on the agenda is finance and operations under our strategic plan. I need a motion to authorize borrowing up to $2,100,000 against the anticipated state aid for the 2025-2026 fiscal year as specified in the borrowing resolution as included in attachment B.
Motion by Pryor.
Support by Burdette.
It's been moved and supported to authorize borrowing up to 2.1 million against the anticipated state aid for the 2025-2026 fiscal year as specified in the borrowing resolution included as attachment B. This is something that the district has done annually based on the timing of state payments that we receive, because we don't receive state payments in an equal fashion, but we do have to pay our bills. Again, this is something that we do annually. We allow for this borrowing to happen in order to meet our debts that we have. So, anything further, Mr. Gearbaum?
No, just, we're not the only ones that do this. Districts all across the state do this. This is normal. We are anticipating the possible need to borrow more this year than in the past, and that's what happens when your fund balance starts to get a little bit smaller. There's a whole series of calculations that Ms. Hendricks does to determine cash flow. It gets into each month and then into each week, and you really try and get to where is your bank book going to be the lowest, and then you look at how low you're going to be, and you come up with that best estimate. It doesn't necessarily mean that we will borrow 2.1 million. That's why the resolution is written up to. But we just need to make sure that we have the cash flow to pay the bills. And if I remember correctly, Ms. Hendricks, usually December-ish is when we hit our low point. Is that still the case, or? Yes.
Yes, it is. It's like December, January timeframe.
Okay.
And it's because of the state aid payments, but it's also because of the way that we collect tax dollars. Because everybody pays their taxes all at one time, and then it's not spread.
Okay.
Right, we're not getting payments in every month, or every other week like we do, folks do from their jobs, so. Any other questions or comments?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Farrell.
I just want to mention, I did contact Ms. Hendricks, and she also indicated that we are anticipating a smaller amount of state aid payments, which affects our cash flow. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. All right, it's been moved and supported to authorize borrowing up to $2,100,000 against the anticipated state aid for the 2025-2026 fiscal year as specified in the borrowing resolution included as attachment B. Ms. Murray?
All right, Sislo.
Yes.
Burdette.
Yes.
Pharaoh.
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Heika.
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, next up, I need a motion to repeal and adopt board policies as described in attachment C.
Moved by Murray.
Support by Heika.
It's been moved and supported to repeal and adopt board policy as described in attachment C. So we have been going through the process of moving from what are known as Neola policies to Troon policies. I want to thank the policy committee, especially Ms. Pryor, in her efforts to move this forward. The Troon policies are more relatable for the state of Michigan. They all follow the law. It's just that Troon is a Michigan law company, and they specialize in Michigan law, where Neola is a company that deals with school districts across the U.S. So they have to write theirs to help navigate the laws of schools throughout the country, where Troon is really focused on the state of Michigan. Troon is also the law firm that we retain as a board for the school district. So advisement from them on their own policies is helpful. It also is a cost savings in regards to Troon versus Neola for their subscription, because anytime the law changes, potentially we have to change policies based on what that law is. So they provide updates to the district for those policies, and then they also, they also provide guidance just throughout the year via memos and such on the policies that are already on that we have on board. So really, this is just what we have to do is the way that we there's a prescribed way of going through this, that we repeal these policies and adopt the board policies that are in attachment C. Once these are approved, Mr. Gearbaugh has it ready to be loaded up onto the website where these policies can be viewed, so that there won't be any interruption in being able to see those. Then the one thing is the one main policy that we won't be repealing right now is the bullying policy, because that requires a public hearing, and we will be holding a public hearing July 9th in regard to that policy. So basically, pretty much we're repealing all the policies except for the bullying policy to adopt these policies from Trune. So Ms. Pryor, is there any more that you want to state?
I just want to say thank you for everybody who helped to get these done, but this is just the beginning. So after we're all switched over, the intention is to go back through each policy separately and really take a good look to make sure it exactly matches. There's a few typo errors that a few people have found, so just letters switch that we'll be bringing to you, but it's pretty simple. But hopefully over the next several months, we'll be able to really hone them into what is good specific to our district.
Any questions or concerns for the policy committee? We've had time to review these policies. This is not a look and change. We've had time to review these, so. All right. It's been moved and supported to repeal and adopt board policies as described in attachment C. Ms. Murray?
All right. Burdette,
Yes.
Farah,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heika,
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
and motion carries 7-0.
All right, next up in the area of personnel and leadership, we have teacher appointments. I need a motion to approve Mary Hagley as a kindergarten teacher, Jill Wadowski as a fifth grade teacher consultant, Sarah Vaughn as a 6th, 7th grade resource room teacher, and Daniela Fay as a 7th grade science teacher effective for the 2025-2026 school year.
Moved by Pharaoh.
Support by Heika.
Moved by Farrow and supported by Heika to approve Mary Hagley as a kindergarten teacher, Jill Wadowski as a 5th grade teacher consultant, Sarah Vaughn as a 6th grade resource room teacher, and Daniela Fay as a 7th grade science teacher effective for the 2025-2026 school year. So we appreciate those that are here this evening to accept this resolution. Mr. Gearbaugh, anything further regarding these hires?
No, I just want to thank the administrative staff. They've been working hard, doing thorough interview processes and hiring processes and following all of the guidelines. We've got some really good candidates that we're excited to bring onto the team. One of them is here tonight, Ms. Hagley, and another Milan grad coming back to workforce, which is exciting. So, we've got some great candidates and we're excited to bring them to you.
Any other comments or concerns? All right, it's been moved and supported to approve Mary Hagley as kindergarten teacher, Jill Wadowski as 5th grade teacher consultant, Sarah Vaughn as a 6th, 7th grade resource room teacher, Daniela Fay as the 7th grade science teacher effective for the 2025-2026 school year. Ms. Murray?
Farah,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heika,
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Burdette,
Yes.
and motion carries 7-0.
Awesome. Yay. Congratulations, we're very excited to have you, especially one of the first teacher that kids have at Milan. That's always exciting. Everybody remembers a special teacher, but I think everybody remembers their kindergarten teacher, so yes, that's her, right? Or your mom? Yeah. So thank you very much. We appreciate you for choosing Milan, so. Next up, I need a motion to approve Sarah Beckman as the administrative assistant to the superintendent and board effective July 1st, 2025, and furthermore to approve the salary schedule included in attachment D as an amendment to the non-affiliated salary schedules approved on November 11th, 2024.
Moved by Pryor.
Support by Gutierrez.
It's been moved and supported to approve Sarah Beckman as the administrative assistant to the superintendent and board effective July 1, 2025, Furthermore, to approve the salary schedule included in attachment D as an amendment to the non-affiliated salary schedules approved on November 11th, 2024. Ms. Beckman is here. I think she's had perfect attendance at board meetings, I don't know, for quite a few months along with her. Well-deserved. We appreciate you continuing to choose Milan as well. We're excited to have you to assist Mr. McMahon, and as well, sometimes we have some requests too. So I don't know if Mr. McMahon wants to say anything more.
No, I just really excited to have Sarah join the team. We've had some good conversations. We have a lot of plans, including Jen as well. We got a lot to learn, and we're looking forward to learning together and building the new version of what's to come.
And I understand you've already hit the ground running with some training with Ms. Four, so that's excellent. We appreciate that. So, any other comments or questions? All right, it's been moved and supported to approve Sarah Beckman as the administrative assistant to the superintendent and board effective July 1, 2025. And furthermore, to approve the salary schedule included in attachment D as an amendment to the non-affiliated salary schedules approved on November 11, 2024. Ms. Murray.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heika,
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Burdette,
Yes.
Pharaoh.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Yay. All right, next up, I need a motion to approve Dan Douglas as the Director of Building and the Grounds effective immediately, and furthermore, to approve the salary schedule the salary schedule included in attachment E as an amendment to the non-affiliated salary schedules approved on November 11th, 2024.
Moved by Gutierrez.
Support by Murray.
So moved and supported to approve Dan Douglas as the Director of Buildings and Grounds effective immediately. Furthermore, to approve the salary schedule included in attachment E as an amendment to the non-affiliated salary schedules approved on November 11th, 2024. So this position was created to help with the buildings and grounds. We had our lead buildings and ground person has left the district. And this is a replacement as well as increased expectations to help with bid packages and such for the sinking fund. There was an interview process for this as well, and this is the candidates that have been brought before us. Are there questions or concerns?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Farrell.
So I have a few prepared comments because I think it'll be a bit more productive. So the Director in Buildings and Grounds position appears to be comparable to the role that MSBO, which is the Michigan School Business Officials, describes as a K-12 facilities manager. The compensation for the Building and Grounds role within our district was benchmarked off of MSBO. MSBO indicates this type of role as being responsible for supervising staff and requiring knowledge on what would normally be acquired through an associate's degree, preferably in the area of engineering. MSBO suggests a bachelor's degree, and MSBO suggests MSB certification as being preferred. MSB also suggests a minimum of 5 to 7 years of supervisory experience working with construction contractors. MSBO's summary states that technical experience in safety, general building maintenance, and other technical areas as being required. Based on the resume submission provided and the information I received and reviewed from Mr. Gearbaugh and from Mr. McMahon, I do not believe that the applicant possesses sufficient experience at this time. In addition, the compensation for the position is benchmarked off of MSBO, and the applicant does not currently have an MSBO certification and/or comparable certifications from WCC or any other accredited college or university. Thank you.
Other comments?
Mr. Sislo?
Yeah, Ms. Seiko.
I want to share some of the same concerns that Mr. Farrow has expressed. I am particularly concerned because this individual is going to be key in helping us implement and spend the sinking fund dollars. And our community put such trust in us in passing that the fund, that I think that we need to be very careful in who we select to manage those projects and those monies moving forward. And I'm not saying we're not being careful here, but I think that if we have a set of criteria that we expect someone to meet, then I think that the person that we hire to implement those projects and to spend that money moving forward should meet that criteria, and this person does not. I'm also concerned that we have benchmarked the salary off of the MSBO when this individual doesn't have that certification, and I'm further concerned that the amount of the salary without meeting the criteria is quite significant, and it is the same as many of our teachers who have been here for many, many years and has a master's degree. And so it just seems very offset to me that the individual doesn't meet the stated criteria, and I know that we're giving them credit for time and other experience, which I'm all for in many circumstances. I just don't think this is the particular circumstance to do that. And I feel like the salary is outsized given the level of experience, and the way that we benchmarked it when the individual didn't meet that criteria.
Thank you. Others? This is a 12-month position.
Yes.
Oh, correct. Okay. Ms. Pryor?
I am of the same opinion. I feel that the candidate does not have the adequate experience to manage that amount of funds and the projects. He has good experience for other things, but the kind of trust that our community has put in us to spend these dollars wisely, cleanly, efficiently, I'm concerned that his lack of experience in those areas will not allow that to happen, and I don't want to erode any of what we're trying to build with being very transparent. So I also believe that he does not meet the qualifications needed for this position.
Okay, thank you. Others? Ms. Murray?
I'll just chime in, I guess, briefly to, I don't know, offer a differing perspective. I'm prepared to support the candidate, although I do share similar concerns. I also believe that this district has a good track record of growing our own and supporting the continuing education of the people that we entrust to do the jobs that we ask them to do. My understanding is that the candidate is going to pursue the MSBO certification moving forward and has a lot of relevant experience, although not an official certification yet. I also understand that the candidate pool that arrived to apply for this position was limited, and that this person was, found to be the best suited and the closest match for what we were looking for at this time, even though, obviously we want the, top most qualified with, someone who ticks all of the boxes, so to speak. That isn't always the reality in hiring in a small district. And so, again, I'm prepared to support the candidate with perhaps some reservation. But yeah, I think I'll leave it there for right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Others? Ms. Gutierrez?
I appreciate this conversation at the table here, and I too, like Mrs. Murray, have had several questions over the last week. I shared many of the concerns that have already been raised. I would also like to say, though, I've had very productive conversations with Ryan and Brian and others on the board as well, that have helped me digest the decision that we are being asked to make. And as Mrs. Murray raised the points, I think there's some decisions that are very easy and an obvious slam dunk, and then there are some that perhaps don't have all of the criterion established, but I think we know that there are some people who excel on paper. There are some people who excel in person. There are some people that are at different stages of their career. And it's my understanding that this candidate had very strong references in terms of the types of tasks and roles that they would be asked to carry, that they've been doing similar work in other situations, and that some of the types of responsibilities this individual would hold has already demonstrated some exemplar performance in that way with putting bids together and seeking those types of things out. Admittedly, this is not my area of expertise in terms of buildings and grounds, and so I do value the feedback and the perspective of Mr. McMahon and Mr. Gearbaugh substantially, as well as the references who they provided, who, to my understanding, are highly respected individuals in the district, in the county, in this area. I do also appreciate that we are a district that is able to meet people where they are and offer the support to continue their education, their formal education towards accreditations and degrees and so forth. And it's my understanding that that individual will be doing so. And so although it's not a perfect decision in my brain, I do appreciate the conversations we've had and am prepared to support this candidate tonight.
Thank you. Others? All right. We have a motion to approve Dan Douglas as the Director of Buildings and Grounds effective immediately, and furthermore to approve the salary schedule included in Attachment E as an amendment to the non-affiliated salary schedules approved on November 11th, 2024. Ms. Murray?
Thank you. Heika?
No.
Murray, yes. Pryor?
No.
Sislo?
Yes.
Burdette?
No.
Farrow?
No.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Okay. Motion fails. 5-2. No, excuse me. 4-3. Thank you.
All right. Next up, in the area of communications and community engagement, we do have our presentation from the District Communication Committee. They're going to present the findings of their communication plan. It was included in Attachment F. Mr. Gearbaugh is going to be handing that out to us as well. So we have Mr. Biederman, Ms. Brown. I'm looking right at her now.
Lambert?
No,
you're not
Miss
going
Lambert.
Sorry.
And Miss Williams, Miss Williams. No, I know, I apologize. I had a brain
Thank you.
contusion. So I appreciate these folks' work. This package that they put together is quite extensive in the work that they did behind it. So with that, we will turn it over to Mr. Biederman.
Thank you. That one works.
It might,
My
now
mic
it
was
might.
working, but oh, now this one's on. Okay.
Wonderful.
All right, I'm gonna. But you know what? I feel with my laptop that I feel safe just sitting here. I don't want to perch it on there.
Go ahead and turn that one off.
All right, yeah.
Sorry, Larry.
That's okay. There we go. All right, cool. So you have the print copy of our report, and I believe you all have received a link to a shared folder, which has the digital version of that report as well as additional resources. So I want to encourage you to review both the print report and the digital version because there's more in the digital version. So I'm Larry. I'm one of the members of our district communications committee. We've been meeting for since July of 2023, and this is the plan that we have put together and that we're presenting tonight. We've been meeting for quite a while now. There's a list of our committee members that have been there. Were you going to come on up to be part of the presentation if you want to? I mean, you were. Yeah. Thank you so much. So, thanks. So Melissa here was also part of the committee. Karen is also here. She was part of the committee. Various members of the, what? Oh, there you, oh, I didn't even see you back there. Hey, how you doing? Well, you were just like perfectly lined up, hiding behind Karen, so. So I want to thank everyone who has been part of our committee. We had Brian, who was leading the committee in a very unbiased manner, leading the committee and, really emphasize, asking us what our priorities are, what decisions we want to make, what goals we have, and really rocked it with organizing it, but organizing in an unbiased manner so that the decisions and the priorities all came from us. And it seems like almost all the board members at one point in time or another were on our committee, guys. So thank you to all the board members. We had at least one board member attending each committee meeting, so thank you very much for that. The purpose of this committee was to develop a comprehensive communication plan that fosters student, family, staff, and community engagement and partnerships. We were formed July 2023 after the board communications committee. We met monthly. Some members of that previous board communications committee were also on our district committee, and we also had some new ones as well. In that shared Google Drive folder, and I don't know how we would exist without Google Drive, we have the district communications plan, which is this document here. Then there's also the big Whopper document, which is a Google Sheets file, the MAS communications strategy. It's big, it's a lot in there, and that has a lot of detail. Really is a very comprehensive analysis that we did of the finer details of communications as they are in our district. It was driven by the K-12 Insight survey data, which included questions about communications. It's really looks at all forms of communication, how they're used across the district, how often. And we would encourage you to review that Google Sheets. Again, it's called MAS Communication Strategy, linked in the folder that you received electronically. And you'll also, if you really want to dig deeper, you can read all of our agendas and all of our minutes of all of our meetings, and I promise I won't quiz you on that. In this document here, there is a plan overview right at the beginning, which is on that second page, right after the cover, discusses our process of reviewing survey data, a detailed analysis of our current communications, and priorities for the goals and the plans. We put together 4 main goals. Goal number 1 is build cohesive communication amongst the buildings to foster continuity and avoid conflicts of events, initiatives, and communications. Goal 2 is improving communication amongst schools, students, and families. Goal 3 is enhanced communication with non-school affiliated community. Goal 4 is to develop a stakeholder group, which includes students, to provide feedback and guidance to the superintendent regarding the strategic plan for communications. Goal 4, I think, is one that we really want to give a little extra emphasis on because we're encouraging our new superintendent to continue to evaluate communications and try to include all stakeholders, including students and staff. Our previous committees did not actually specifically include students and staff, and they are part of our stakeholders, and we feel as if they should be included in a future communications effort. I personally would nudge my son to be part of that committee, but I would tell him to send an application in. The document for each goal has multiple examples of how to meet those goals. So for example, communication among the buildings, talking about calendars and coordinated communications. Goal number 2, emphasizing and expanding the use of the big red chats. So I'm glad that you all discussed that earlier, and it's exciting to see that there's continued support for big red chats. Also looks at, examples include social media, volunteerism, a system of communications. Goal 3, talking about the enhanced communications with non-school affiliated communities, so examples there, coordinating with the city, looking at website calendars. It again refers to big red chats, social media campaigns. And then goal 4, some of the examples there include updates to stakeholder groups, feedback, and trying to realign our communication to match survey data. Thinking about what do people want in terms of their communications based upon that survey data. There's a quote at the start of the plan that we really liked, and I won't read the whole quote, but part of it is, whether a school system is excellent or mediocre depends upon how those people work together, how they communicate, relate, are involved, participate, and share. Really is, the backbone of what drives a successful school community. So that's basically it for this. I really hope that you'll review the plan and continue forward with the goals and the initiatives that we've recommended. Are we supposed to do discussion or questions or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. At first, I just want to say thank you again. Appreciate, because I think you folks were also on most of you folks were on the original.
Yes, we were, yeah.
As well, so
we were in it for the long haul.
so it hasn't been just since 23
That's right,
that
yeah.
you guys have been doing this. So
Because I think the board communications committee started, 2022 or something like that? February 22? Yep, that's right, yep, thank you. Yeah.
But no, I definitely appreciate the work that you've done. So if there are questions for the committee,
Don't be surprised if I refer a question over to Karen, because she's been like our brains of our of our committee. She's the one responsible for the organization of this awesome report. So, yeah. You had to put one author's name on her. But we all work together on it.
Mr. Sisla? I do have a question, and thank you. This is, I know, a tremendous amount of work, both to do the survey and put the report together. I'm interested to see that email is, I think, by and large, the preferred method of communication overall and across the buildings. I do hear occasionally from community members that there are still some people who don't widely use email or have email. Do you have a sense of how many in our community that represents, that that is maybe like at the way bottom of their list because of lack of use or access?
I wouldn't know that, although I think if you look at the survey data, how many people prefer email, then subtract that from 100%, and that's, that gives us a pretty clear indication of how many people don't prefer email.
One thing about the survey data, though, is it doesn't really distinguish what type of communication they prefer what thing for. So, I mean, just because they prefer email doesn't mean they prefer it for everything.
Well, and who do they prefer the email from, too?
Right.
Do they prefer the district emails, or do they prefer the teacher emails, but the district, they prefer other messaging?
So the data isn't totally,
And of course, that's going to vary widely in terms of which stakeholder group we're looking at. If you've ever seen a teenager's inbox of email and how much they use email, you would know that teenagers, for example, good luck with emailing them,
Can I ask a follow-up then?
Sure.
For this table here at the end, how was this data collected? Did respondents have to rank order their preference, or did they just select everyone that they liked, or?
I believe they had to choose the top three.
That's a Brian.
Yeah, Brian would know that one, yeah.
Question?
I can't tell you exactly, but it is part of that year-end survey. 2 years ago, we added a communications section to the survey. I can get you those questions and exactly the data.
Isn't it in the board folder?
I think the disaggregated data is in that folder, but if not, we can get you more information.
Okay, thank you.
I think Karen is right in that they rank their top 3 or top 5, they pick their top 3 or top 5 out of a list.
We do have to say part of part of the communications committee with wanting to engage with all stakeholders is that the emails coming from the district don't go to community members that don't have students. So we really want to help focus on engaging those community members that are stakeholders, that pay taxes, that have something to say about the district, but don't feel a part of it. So that is also a big section of this communication plan, is how do we engage those community members moving forward?
And by the way, I was kind of surprised to see email still ranked so high, you know.
I also wondered if it's like partly people just rank what they use, what they currently get, and currently they get a lot of emails, so they're like, oh, that's what I use, so. Yeah.
And then just as a follow-up to your point, this isn't a question, but I think that the new Sun Times has been especially effective in reaching our community members that maybe are not directly tied into the school. And I have to thank you, Mrs. Lambert, because I know that you're one of the reporters there and you do a great job with the Milan-centric events. And so I think that has changed the landscape since maybe the survey was done, right? That's been a new addition to our community. And so continuing to leverage that, I think, is a good partnership.
And Wani does school, so.
Speaking, excuse me, in speaking as a community member, on this committee, you do sort of like have, like, because my daughter just graduated over a year ago, like, I had no, like, I didn't know, feeling this, I wouldn't have, if I would not been connected to the committee, I wouldn't have known, you know, Mr. Beerball was retiring. I wouldn't know what teachers retired, like, and so how does the community, how can we get those messages out to the community? Or how can I, as a community member, get that information? Like, do I call the school to ask them that? Or is it on the website? Or do we have, like, a place where we can get, like, school news? So those are kind of the things that we're looking at, that we were looking at as well, that the district is communicating a lot, but how do we look from, how do people get the information rather than just being given the information?
The website.
We talked a lot about the website. Every meeting we heard the latest and greatest
So excited.
about the website. Yes, I think all of us are still going to be very eagerly watching the website, waiting for the second that it flips over to the new system. It should be any day now, right? Any day, any month, any week. Well, we know it's coming this year, right?
All right, any other questions? Yeah, Ms. Pryor.
Since I have you guys here, we heard a lot about the Big Red Board chats. Do you have any suggestions for us on how you feel that we could improve those and get some more people to come? Topics, ideas, anything?
So I think out of everyone on the committee, Karen is the most passionate about the Big Red Chats. But I think one of the things that we really want to encourage student involvement in the Big Red Chats, and also outside community members, and just making them smaller, making them feel more like a conversation, and it also doesn't necessarily have to be a topic of contention. We don't do enough celebrating. Like, I know my kids' kindergarten teachers who are going to be seniors next year are retired this year, right? Like, maybe having some small community celebrations, or, you know, just things that aren't always of come talk to the board about your concerns. How about come to talk to the board and let's celebrate, right? Like, I don't know that we do enough of that. So, you know, have those meetings where you come with concerns and you want that two-way conversation to hash things out. But let's also come and talk about things that we're happy about and have those success stories. And I think that will also help improve attendance too.
And as you already indicated earlier, location is going to make a huge difference. You might be able to just, I don't know what the previous and current attendance numbers are, but might make more sense to put in a classroom, a smaller space, where everybody can be heard, and you can set up chairs in a nice big old circle or something like that, so that it feels much more like a big giant discussion of some sort. Yeah, I agree that the cafeteria might be kind of too big. I would hesitate, though, with we love the Owl, everyone loves the Owl, and of course they got great food. But I think it'd be kind of difficult for everybody to hear everybody in the Owl. It seems like there's always, there's plenty of people doing plenty of things in the Owl, and that I think would make it difficult for everyone to hear everyone.
I'm really concerned with that. I like the idea of having people be able to wander in, but on the other hand, then people feel like they have to spend money to go. Like if it was at Pepper's, I feel like I had to buy something.
Yeah, true. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. Fair enough.
I
Yeah.
like the idea of having it in public, but I don't know, I've been to a lot of them, and I've been kind of disappointed that there aren't more people there too. I personally have found them extremely helpful, and I feel like I know way more. So I wonder if maybe more advertising could be helpful, in the sense of not just like posting it a week before, but like showing some type of urgency or like relevance or what this is and why it really matters and how it's meeting a need. Because I feel like there is a need, but people aren't seeing how it fits with that need.
We also discussed using the city's connections advertisements of putting the Big Red Chats in there, because that goes out to all community members. Just increasing who you're getting the word out to.
I think that one thought we discussed was just that the idea of having it available is helpful, because then if something really goes, when something comes up, it's already established, and there is like an avenue for.
I like all that. Big Red Success Chat. It's not important, right?
The biggest, widest, the bigger the announcement, the more people you'll get. And space will definitely be a great. Perhaps bring the Owl coffee to the chat. Without
There you go.
if you have coffee, maybe more people will show up.
Yeah, Ms. Pryor.
I guess my next question would be is if people want to stay on the email list, is that a possibility for the schools? Because I know if I didn't have kids, I don't have kids anymore, and if I wasn't on the board, I probably wouldn't know too much except from the website. But people whose kids graduate, is it a possibility that we stay in the email?
That would be great to have a alumni and community email system, for announcements and updates and find out all the latest and greatest things. I think that'd be great.
That's where we kind of, were talking about partnering with the city and getting in like that connection. So if you have the Big Red Board chats, can we put them in the city and that connection, can we put them in the city calendar? Because like the Big Red Board chats that were happening this year,
I would encourage us also to look for similar things within the townships. I mean, we have a significant population that doesn't live in the city. And I will be honest, until I moved to the township, it wasn't something I always thought about. But now that I live in the townships, I don't want to lose track of those students and community members and everyone else either.
Others? All right, thank you, Ms. Williams. Thank you, Ms. Lambert, Mr. Biederman, and Ms. Brown. I'm not going to say Ms. Heike because that's what you're sitting in front of now. So we'll continue to have. We are committed to meeting with our stakeholders. So I think we had a lot of great ideas suggested that we can move forward with. Obviously, something that we will be working with Mr. McMahon in the future as well. So I also want to thank the board members. Ms. Murray is the chair of the committee. Mr. Burdett's on the committee. Cassie was at quite a few meetings as well. So thank the board members for their participation. I was at a few. Yep. Yeah, no problem. I'll thank myself. But yeah, I mean, it's a few pages here, but there was a lot of work behind it, so we greatly appreciate it. Thank you. So.
Thank you.
All right. Next up on the agenda is back to public comments. Are there any students who'd like to address the board? Are there any public members who'd like to address the board? All right. Our student board reps are excused. Assistant superintendent comments for his last update as assistant superintendent, Mr. McMahon.
I'll give you a grant update. Mr. Sislo, thank you. I will share a grant update. We completed the initial application of the 35M literacy funding grant. I think I mentioned it at one of the last two board meetings that that's the grant that the state has blocked out to purchase really elementary literacy materials, PD, or intervention materials. We've selected literacy materials. We're looking to make a curriculum purchase. We don't have the full details of the grant yet. You do the initial application, then you get more information, then you complete a second step. But we are meeting with Amplify, which is a company that owns a program called CKLA, tomorrow, in fact, to get more details on their program to start moving forward with that purchase. That'll be coming to you because it is a significant amount. I don't yet know how much the grant is worth, so I got to work those details out, but you'll get more on that in the coming meetings. I do want to share with you that I've had some meetings this week with some graphic designers and specifically with SLI signs and apparel, moving forward on making an official logo and doing the logo documents that we had the last time we kind of updated our logo, along with marketing materials. So that's moving forward, really happy with that work. And I also want to take a moment to publicly thank two people. One is Ann Four. She's been an asset to me in this position and to the district, but particularly to me, in bringing me up to speed quickly and supporting me throughout the years. And I would also like to have a special thanks to Superintendent Gearbaugh. Congratulations on your last meeting. Thank you for your years of service to the district. You've meant a lot to the district, and you've led with your heart, and we've appreciated it, and you've taken care of us and also guiding us down the right path. And I particularly personally want to thank you for all the work you've done the last few weeks, from cleaning out your office to sharing lots of files with me that I don't even know where to put at this point. But you've been an asset to me in the last few weeks. Not mentioned the last 15 years, but I appreciate it. And congratulations. And if the new job doesn't shake out, we always got something for you here. So thank you greatly.
Thank you, Mr. McMahon. And yes, now, here it is. Perfect attendance on the line. You made it through.
Yeah.
Superintendent comments, Mr. Gearbaugh.
Yeah, I haven't missed a board meeting in 17 years. So, just a couple of quick announcements and then a personal. So first, the last day of school wrapped up smoothly. It's hard to believe we haven't had a board meeting since, but this is the first board meeting since the last day of school. Just want to thank all of our staff, our students, our community for another successful year. Just there's so much hard work that happens by our staff, our parents partnering with us, the community supporting us. It's just really nice to wrap up another year and see students enjoying their summer and making sure that we are ready to head back next year for another successful year. I do want to add to Mr. McMahon, the transition to the new leadership team is progressing well. We've been working diligently on transferring all the accesses and authorities to Mr. McMahon, and this is so much more than when I became superintendent 17 years ago. There's just so many state websites and report access portals and banking requirements, and it's a tremendous amount to transfer, and he's been doing a great job. We've been working hard to get that all transferred. I'm sure he's gotten hundreds of emails from me as I give him ownership of all the Dropbox folders and all those things. I will tell you the neatest thing for me over the last 2 weeks has been to see Ryan and Jen start to mesh as a team. They always have, But just now that they're both here in the office, just seeing them and the conversations they're having, and I might have eavesdropped on some of them, and it's just, they're just really meshing as a team, and I'm so excited for them to take over the district. They're going to do phenomenal work. One sad announcement, Allison Davis, our middle school science teacher, lost her mother this week, and so we want to keep her family in our thoughts. And lastly, I do have some parting comments. I've enjoyed my 33 years with Milan area schools. While there have been good times and difficult times, I have always given my all and done my best to do what was right for the staff and students of the district. I will definitely miss the people, but I will not miss my 3 least favorite parts of the job: budgeting with minimal funding, disciplining students, and calling snow days. I do apologize ahead of time for the length of these comments, but as all of you who know me know, I'm usually not very brief with words. There are so many people that I want to thank for supporting me throughout my career. I normally don't name specific people because I'm always afraid that I'm going to miss someone, and I'm sure that I will miss someone tonight, but I am going to list some specific people. I do want to say, if you're not specifically named tonight, please know that everyone I encountered over the years was important to me and my work. I'll start at the beginning. I want to thank Bill Matley, the then Milan High School principal, for hiring a young, naive kid to teach Algebra 2, pre-calculus, and calculus. I am so glad that he went golfing with the principal of Saline High School, which is where I student taught, because my recommendation to Mr. Matley came on that golf course during a round of golf. I also want to thank Gene Huber. Some of you may know him. He was a former high school science teacher. He was really my mentor. Back then, we didn't have official mentors, but he took me under his wing. And even though he was in the later years of his career, his passion for students and the educational process inspired me to be the best teacher I could be. Next, Greg Cowgill, who took a chance when he hired me at 28 years old to be his middle school assistant principal. As a principal, Greg mentored me for 2 years, sparked my love of administration, and prepared me to be the principal of Milan Middle School. I want to thank Bill Brown, who rode the administrative wave with me, starting as my assistant principal when I became principal, then becoming the middle school principal, and eventually becoming the district's special ed director. Bill was a great colleague and always made the job fun. For those of you who knew him, that will make more sense. Next, I want to thank Dennis McComb, who also took a chance when he hired me at the age of 30 to be the middle school principal. I truly don't believe this district had had a principal under the age of 45 up to that point. Dennis quickly became my mentor and led me down the path to district administration and eventually the assistant superintendency. I am forever grateful to Dennis for his guidance and his support. To the 7 board members who named me superintendent in 2008, and to all of the board members who I have worked with over the years, I say thank you. Most notably, I want to thank Mr. Andrew Sislo, who was the best board president a superintendent could ever hope to serve under.
Well, thank you.
Sorry to the other board presidents I worked with. You guys were all great too.
Take that, Rita.
I'm sure I'm gonna hear from one of them. Next, I want to thank Ann Ford. For those that don't know, Ann was my administrative assistant when I was the middle school principal. Later, I stole her from the middle school to become the district office administrator. I just want to thank her for always being there for me and never shying away from the task of supporting the important work that we accomplished together. To every administrator who I worked with over the years, Milan has always been blessed with a strong administrative team, and that has never been more true than the past few years. Specifically, I want to thank Julie Helber, Peter Kudlak, and Ryan McMahon, who served as my assistant superintendents. I also want to thank Dee Fleischer, Michelle Cowhey, and Krista Hendricks, who served as finance directors and kept the budget in line during my tenure as superintendent. Without these 6 people's teamwork over the years, we would have never accomplished the great things that we did in this district. To every director, manager, teacher, paraprofessional, administrative assistant, custodian, bus driver, mechanic, food service staff member, or other MAS employees, I always viewed all of us as educators because every single role supports the educational process of our students, and I thank you. To the students, parents, and community,
Thank you for 33 years of having the pleasure of educating your students. Milan quickly became my home, both for my family and my career. And I will always be grateful for the support this community provided me over the years. Lastly, I want to thank my family. To my father, who taught me the value of strong work ethic. When I became an administrator, he told me, don't ever ask someone to do something you wouldn't do yourself. And I've always tried to follow that advice to the best of my ability. To my mom, for being a shining example as an outstanding educator and one of my loudest cheerleaders. She moved to Milan about 2 years ago and quickly started to understand why I love this town so much. Thank you, Mom. To our boys, Bryce and Reese, for dealing with a dad who was the superintendent of their schools, was often absent from dinner, and regularly had to step away from the family to take a phone call or a text. I thank you. And most importantly, to my wife, Ann. Without her love, support, patience, and unending understanding, I would never have been able to have navigated my career. She has always been there. She has always been my rock, and she has always been my one true love. Thank you to my better half. Over the last years of my time as superintendent, I would often be asked the questions, why did you stay in Milan so long? Why didn't you move to a larger district to make more money? My answer was always the same. 1, I work with a sane and supportive Board of Education. 2, I work with an amazing group of administrators. And 3, we have the most dedicated and caring staff of any district I know. These attributes will continue to make Milan area schools an outstanding place to work and attend. I will always favor red and black. I am forever a big red. Anno Milan.
Wow, thank you. All right, board member comments. No, I'm gonna go last again. No, I can't go after that. I'm still like sitting up here right now.
Tom or Brian, will you pass the box down? Slightly damp down here.
Oh, Ms. Pryor.
Start at the end. All right, so this is going to be the common theme, but I also want to thank Mr. Gearbaugh. Congratulations on your retirement. I think I've told you this before, but you're always the voice I recognize. We're through the text, I mean, not through the text, but the phone calls and messages for my kids. You were very helpful to me and getting me up to speed quickly and letting me, and being supportive and answering my questions when I didn't understand what was going on. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a very nice time mowing lawns or doing what you want and being able to put all the signs you want to on your lawn. I remember you saying that was something you're gonna do. But I also want to say thank you to the communication committee. I was there for a little bit and I know the work that you did. And I too would like to see us be more involved. I've thought a couple times like, well, why doesn't the board do a scarecrow in the city? Why don't we do, I mean, we all have many things going on, but there could be a few more activities I hope that we start doing together as a group, to see us as a group, 3 of us at least doing something, because to follow the rules, only 3 participate in the golf outings as things like that. And on that note, there's golf outings coming up this summer for boys soccer, and I think a couple other sports have those. So if any of the community members want to do a golf outing, raise money for the school, please look those up on Facebook. I think it's Trisha Lorette who's handling the boys soccer. So she would be somebody to contact. I'm gonna name her. She's gonna be unhappy about that.
Oh, it's okay, yeah.
Is it Tricia? Okay. Sorry. And then Simons and Paddock are now one PTO. They just did a fundraiser last night, but start thinking about the way you can be involved this fall to support both schools in their PTO efforts to put on programs for the school. And that's all the notes I had, but I hope everybody has a nice, enjoyable summer, and see you all in July.
Thank you, Ms. Pryor. Others? Ms. Heika?
First, I'm gonna do a little business first, and then I'll do all my thank yous. I don't know, I guess I'll ask Mr. McMahon to check on, I'm a little concerned about the status of the blowers at the pool, because it's been like a month, and it is so humid in there that stuff is falling off the wall. And the metal in the and we've already lost the metal seats that were in there because they rusted, and the more humid it in there, the more likely that is all going to happen. So if you can, okay, because it's been a long time.
Yep, the problem is we've had 3 different issues in a row. One, we had to replace the main blowers. Once they were replaced, we then had an issue with some of the electrical. And once we had them up, they ran for a day or 2, and then we had the power outage and it blew a fuse. The fuse is on its way by FedEx to Adrian Mechanical, and hopefully first thing tomorrow morning will be replaced, and we will have them up and running hopefully for a long period of time. Yeah, it's been a string of issues, and yeah, I'm well aware the humidity in there is, it's got to be addressed quickly. I have talked with the owner of the company a couple of times myself to try and push this along as quickly as we possibly can.
Thank you. Then I also want to thank all of our community members who participated in the communications committee. I know that was a lot of work, and I just appreciate when community members, we get a lot of feedback that people want to be involved, people want this, people want that, and then you offer it sometimes and people don't show up. But you were the people who showed up. So, and you stayed for many years. And so I appreciate all the hard work that you guys did, and that you came at it from a very open mind and are, really looking for ways to, meet everyone where they are. So thank you, everyone, for that. And I want to thank Mr. Gearbaugh for his commitment to this community. I don't know that the community realizes, particularly in the last 10 or 15 years, how extraordinary it is to have a superintendent that has served for as long as Mr. Gearbaugh has. Not even taking aside his time here as a teacher and as a principal, but as a superintendent. They just don't stay anymore. And that's because the job is really hard. It's really hard. I mean, you all have been on Facebook. You can see, something as simple as closing schools for a snow day gets vitriol from both sides. And so I just hope the community understands what a gem that has been and how lucky we have been to have him here for so long. And I want to thank Mr. Gearbaugh for more than any leader I've ever dealt with. He leads with his heart. And you always lead from what is best for the kids. And through some tough times in the last 6 years, it's been hard. And you always kept the kids, with everything that was swirling around, the kids were always at the forefront for you. And so thank you for that. And I can confidently say, every kid who's come through these buildings at any point is better off because you were here. And I'm a better person for having known you. That's it.
I too want to thank the Communications Committee. Your work is valuable. Your work's important. We value what you've done, and we will certainly try to aspire to accomplish all the things that you guys have shared with us. And I did not realize that some of you had been on the committee since 2022, so you're ready to be board members now. So feel free to call me. I also wanted to say to Sarah Beckman, don't believe and for. The Board of Directors or Board of Education are pretty reasonable and easy to work with. But I welcome, and we're looking forward to working with you, and I think you're going to be a great addition to the district office. I also want to thank Ann for, when I became a board member, I think 5 years ago, she was just so helpful, so welcoming. I'd ask her questions because I didn't want to ask somebody else. I didn't want to feel, stupid. And she was just so nice and so professional and responsive and made herself accessible. I would call her to sign me up for education courses, and she would do it, and she would do it quickly, and she'd send me a nice email. I just think she was just an excellent representation of our district and the district office, and we're going to miss Ann, and I wish her all the best with her retirement. I too want to thank Mr. Gearbaugh. Several years ago when we were deciding to move school districts from Lincoln to Milan, and many of you have heard this before, Brian and Sean DeSarbo were the first two that I met as a parent. And I remember saying to Mr. Gearbaugh and Sean DeSarbo, we're looking at coming to this school district, and I remember Mr. Gearbaugh coming with me and walking through the buildings and meeting Mr. DeSarbo, and I remember telling Brian how clean and immaculate the buildings were and how amazing and polite the teachers were, and just the atmosphere and the environment was just so different and exciting. And we don't regret that decision at all. This has been an awesome experience for our kids. My daughter's off to Michigan State University, and she got great education here within the school district, great teachers, never had issues with any of the administration. My son is a junior, and I can say that he has great teachers. And Mr. Gearbaugh and the admin team and the teachers, they all played a huge role in my kids' success. And so I thank Mr. Gearbaugh for his leadership. And as Ms. Heike said, 17 years as superintendent is, you couldn't pay me enough to do that job. Because I know what a pain in the butt I can be to our superintendent. And I will say this, what Mr. Gearbaugh said in his statements earlier is true. We do reach out to the superintendent quite a bit, by text, by phone, by email, and always prompt, always responsive, always accessible, visible in the community. So I just want to thank Mr. Gearbaugh again publicly, as a parent, but also as a board member. He helped me. When I started, I hadn't the slightest idea what I was getting myself into. And I think Mr. Gearbaugh convinced me to stay through COVID. I didn't think I was going to make it through the COVID days. And I'm a better board member and a better community member because of my partnership and relationship with Mr. Gearbaugh. I wish you well in your current and future endeavors, and I hope that you spend a lot of time up in Traverse City. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrow. Others? Mr. Burdette.
I also would like to both congratulate and thank Mr. Gearbaugh for everything he's done for this district. While I'm the newest member of the board, we haven't worked together for very long. I do have two kids who have gone through the district
from the beginning, including my son who just graduated and began at Milan in the First Steps program at Paddock. So not quite 17 years, but pretty close. And it's going to be very different to answer the phone when that 439 number calls and not hear him say, "Hello, Milan Area Schools." It's going to be very different, but we do appreciate that everything that you've done for us, and so thank you again. Congratulations to our new teachers as well as Ms. Beckman. We do look forward to working with you, and thanks for choosing Milan. Thank you to the communication committee for your presentation. Just kind of listening to you talk and reading through the presentation, being involved in the district for as long as I have, I'm just nodding my head like yes. When the goals, I'm like yes, exactly. It's exactly what I needed to hear, and I think we all need to hear as well. So we really appreciate your work on that, and hopefully we can put a lot of those into practice. And then lastly, just would like to wish everyone a very happy and safe summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burdette. Ms. Gutierrez?
I was looking something up because I just had a great idea. Thank you, Gabe. I'll share it in a minute. I too would like to thank the Communications Committee again. I think when we look at large organizations or small organizations that do not succeed, it's because they don't communicate well. And so having people who are willing to spend their own time as community members, as parents, to support and give to this district to help us be better at that, I really, really do appreciate. I also wanted to acknowledge that we received many thank you cards from many of the students who received scholarships either through the district or through GMACF. My mom was always adamant that you didn't really say thank you until you actually wrote a real card out, and so I'm glad to see that that is still holding true, and so I appreciate that from all of our students. I want to congratulate all of our families for the end of the year. It feels like summer's half over, and here we are just talking about the end of the year, but I hope everyone has a great summer. I wanted to welcome Mrs. Bookout and congratulate her. I've heard a lot of sadness from middle schoolers over the last several weeks about how much they love Mrs. Bookout, and it's not going to be the same without her, but I've assured them that you are in a great position and we are so excited to work with you. I also wanted to share with the community that we have started conversations with the MEA, the Teachers Union, about the new contract. We had a session last week and have opened those conversations. Of course, there's a lot to come, but I did want to ask Mr. Gearbaugh or Mr. McMahon, I know we were talking about the calendar, and I've heard that the community is interested in the calendar, of course, and in planning, and it sounded like that was something that we would be able to get out to them soon. And then, let me see, I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Okay. And then I want to, of course, thank you to Mr. Gearbaugh. Like Tom mentioned, our family moved here to Milan after living in Ypsilanti for, gosh, almost 10 years because of the schools. We had a brand new baby, we had a 3-year-old, and we were looking for a small town with great, great schools. And after talking to friends, touring many different districts, we knew Milan was the place to be because we met the legend that is Sean DeSarbo. When we enrolled my son in his first preschool class, his teacher was actually Mrs. Gearbaugh. And so we actually met Anne before we met Brian, and then I thought it was quite curious that our preschool teacher and the superintendent had the same last name, and come to know they were two of the most wonderful people in this district. And over the years, of course, knowing Anne through her teaching role, and then knowing Brian tangentially as kind of a parent on the outside looking in. During COVID, as an epidemiologist, I started coming to board meetings more. I was very interested and worried about the district's handling of things. And after coming to my first meeting and seeing the work that Brian had done to speak with the health department, do his research, hear from the community, I was rest assured that there was deep thought going into those decisions about very difficult conversations that had to be had. And I just really, really admired that in you, Brian. And so became interested in running for the board and have been so grateful to be with this group of colleagues, but to work with Brian and to see his leadership really in action. I've learned so much from you, Brian, and so I really appreciate that. It's a tough year, I think, for our district because we have so many legends that have retired this year, especially including Mr. DeSarbo and Brian and Ann and then several of our teachers that were here and support staff. But I think it speaks to the legacy that this district has and the staying power that your contributions will have on this district, Brian, because you've trained so many in our district. You've taught parents of our students in our district, and I know that despite the arguments that seem to happen on Facebook about snow days and this and that, every single person I've talked to about your retirement has said that they're going to be very sorry to see you go. That I think that our community respects you, understands this tremendous job, and has really seen your presence as a guiding light through some very difficult times in education over the last many years. And so I appreciate that. I have the highest level of respect for you, and I'm just so grateful to have worked for you. And so my great brainchild is, because I too will miss Brian's voice in my ear on, snow day calls, but there's this radio show on NPR called Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. And if you win, you get the host's voice on your answering machine. And so we could have a fundraiser where Mr. Gearbaugh records the voice on your voicemail just for everyone to enjoy. I think there would be a lot of takers because that has become like such a seminal part of this district, and not just because it's always Brian's voice, because it's a voice of someone we trust and respect and admire. And so thank you, Brian.
Awesome. Ms. Murray.
Okay, fine. I'll try. I too will try to business first, sniffles later. First, again, welcome and congratulations to all of the new staff that were approved tonight in your various capacities. It really excites me when we have, I just had to go home obviously, but when we have people who either graduated from this district or have arrived here as a long-term substitute, or someone who started out as perhaps temporary and then ends up going that extra distance and deciding to stay. And there are so many examples of that in our community here, and I think that just continues to speak to the amazing family atmosphere that we are blessed to have and intentionally nurture here at Milan. So again, welcome and congratulations to all our new hires. I want to also thank the Communications Committee for both current, past, and originating members, as you so aptly stated. It has been a privilege, truly, to be able to sit in your meetings and observe and collaborate when it was invited, or perhaps not. But it truly has been a growing experience for me to hear all of the valuable feedback that was shared at those meetings, and to be able to hopefully share, my varying perspectives based on my roles in the district. But the care that all of you have invested, again, both current, past, and originating members, is just truly evident, not only in the document that you have taken the time to put forward and share with the board and the community, but as Dr. Gutierrez stated, that you were not paid, you were not hired, you continued to show up on a Monday night amongst your busy family schedules and your work lives, and, you know, have given to this district in a very meaningful way. So thank you very, very much for all of that work and for sparking, I think, some great ideas and some really helpful feedback that will help us continue to move forward. I want to take a brief moment to shout out the Milan Library Summer Reading Program. I am a little behind the 8 ball here on getting my own kiddo started on it, but they have something at every age level, and there's lots of activities that go along with that. So there's the summer reading program, which, you know, involves prizes, awards, things like that. But then I also noticed, I was on the website today, and they have book clubs for various age groups. So if you have a teen or a tween that's maybe a little bored this summer and is looking for some, you know, ways to engage with other teens and tweens in the community in a productive way, I would just encourage everybody to check out milanlibrary.org and check out everything I just love that we have such a amazing, cool little library, and yet they manage to do so much. So shout out to them. I briefly want to ask the community to continue to contact your state lawmakers and encourage, or at this point, just flat out demand. I don't think we need to be nice anymore. Be respectful, but, you know, we need to continue to demand that they parse out the education budget. They have what they call a deadline of July 1st to pass the budget through both chambers of our state legislature, but there's really no accountability on them. There are no consequences. Nothing happens to them. There are no consequences for failing to meet that deadline, short of a government shutdown, but that would not happen for several more months. So they can continue to play tug of war and sit on this budget and do whatever it is that they are not doing up there. Whereas we, K-12 schools, are required by law to adopt our budget by July 1st of every fiscal year. So our job is always challenging because of that, but this continued tug of war is frankly unacceptable. And added to that, the vast difference between the House budget, the Senate budget, and the governor's proposal. Typically, you know, we're quite used to this. We can sort of throw a dart at the dartboard somewhere in the middle of those three proposals and have some assurance, however shaky, that whatever budget we adopt or pass, the numbers are going to fall somewhere within that range, because the budgets are typically not that vastly different. But in this particular year, what the House has put forward, what the Senate has put forward, and what the governor have put forward are three completely different entities in my mind. There are very few, if any, similarities or points of agreement across those three proposed budgets. And so our finance team and our leadership team here at this district is left, you know, completely floundering. They're doing a fantastic job. I don't mean to say that. But to try to come up with some sort of educated guess when you have three completely variant proposals to work with is frankly impossible. So we are doing the best that we can. Krista and her team are doing a phenomenal job. Our leadership and administrative team are doing a phenomenal job. But we should all be prepared that we will need to look at our budget again in the future, because whatever we come up with in July is perhaps not going to be correct or be close. So please do continue to press your state lawmakers. This game is unacceptable. So onward. I will try to be very, very brief, because there's, I don't think, much that I could continue to say in praise of Mr. Gearbot that hasn't already been said. Sorry, I'm terrible. I swore I was not. Okay. But I've shared this a little bit before, but for those who aren't aware, I began my teaching career. I'm from Michigan. I grew up here. I went to Lincoln schools, but I had to begin my teaching career in Atlanta which I don't regret, but it was a time when there were literally no teaching jobs for newbies in the state of Michigan. So I left, and had great experience, but when my daughter was born, we had to come back to the state. So then I taught 3 years in a charter district, and I had wonderful colleagues and wonderful students, but it was not a good fit for me, and frankly, at the toward the tail end of my charter experience, I was contemplating leaving teaching. And I had met a colleague at my charter school who jumped ship and came to Milan. And so she was kind of my eyes on the inside, and I said, please, 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 please. I was hearing from her regularly, about what a wonderful experience, and I was living in the community already. So, it was an absolute dream of mine to try to land a job in the district that was right around the corner from my house. And, I was hearing such good things from this colleague. And sure enough, in 2017, I got a little birdie told me that there might be a position opening up at the middle school. And so I put my hat in the ring and applied, and it was, instantly a family feeling. Like, Dr. Spickard toured me, she was the principal at the time at the middle school, toured me around the building. I got to meet some of my, potential future colleagues. The interview experience was wonderful, but it truly was when I had my final interview with Mr. Gearbaugh, which was really intimidating. I had never been interviewed by a superintendent before. I worked for one of the largest districts in the southeast of the United States. I didn't meet our superintendent ever, not once, in the 7 years that I worked for Fulton County Schools in Georgia. But I had an interview with this guy, and it just really solidified for me that this is a family. This district is a family. And so, yeah, just thank you so much, Brian. All of what's been said is true, but I'm a better educator because I worked here under your leadership, and I'm so proud to serve here, too. So, thank you. Pass.
All right, thank you. I will echo Ms. Murray's comments about the legislature. Definitely keep in tune with them. We're hearing that a budget may not come out until October, so there's no way for us to negotiate with anybody if we don't have any idea what the budget's going to be until October. So that is a great concern. I do want to reiterate my thanks for the Communications Committee. I do appreciate all your work and what you've done. And as you can hear from the board, we are committed to the findings that you brought forth. A special shout out to Ann Four. She had a great relationship with my mom. She always remembered about my mom and talked to me about that. And I really appreciate Ann Four and the service that she's provided to the district. Congratulations to everybody on their new positions. I know, Sarah, you'll do a great job replacing her, so very happy about that. And no doubt about Miss Bookout. When we walk the parade for homecoming, we kind of keep a little tally of how many kids yell out the principals, like, hello, and Miss Bookout always won. It was hands down. Hello, Mrs. Yeah, I don't know. Miss Bookout got more call outs than Sean, so she won. So, yeah, wow. Thank you for those comments. So I do have something prepared in my head. You can tell a lot by a person by what they keep in their office and what they display in their office. And there's not a lot of people that have had the opportunity to be in Mr. Gearbaugh's office, and he has lots of things. There's a cool poster of the Milan football schedule back from 19-something. It's back in the 40s, I think. Basketball stuff, awards. But there was one thing in there. It was this yellow softball, and it was signed by all the girls on the softball team of this one year. So I'm not going to tell the story as good as Mr. Gearbaugh tells it, but I want to talk about it because I think it exemplifies what everybody's been saying, and even what you said about your father, that, you know, there's no work that's beneath you. So this was back in June 2011, so this is 14 years ago. Milan High School softball team qualified for the state tournament. They were 32-2 that year going into the state tournament. The only two losses they had were against teams that had won previous state championships. And they had a game on Friday. So just like we've done here in the near future, you know, loaded up buses and took folks out to Battle Creek for a game on Friday. And they won on Friday. And the last time that Milan had qualified for a state-run tournament, absent of swimming, because swimming, it's not a tournament, you come back on the next day, you kind of know that you're going to be there the next day. But the last time that we had a team in a state tournament was 1948 for basketball. So we necessarily didn't know that MHSAA paid for hotels for the kids to stay. So they won the game on Friday. They're going to have to play on Saturday. And they only had one uniform that they had. They had to have their uniforms ready to go by that next day for a game to be played on Saturday. And this man right here volunteered to take their uniforms and clean them. So he took them to the laundromat in Battle Creek, washed those uniforms for those girls to play the next day. Unfortunately, they were going up against a team that had already won the state championship 5 times. But Milan battled hard. It was 2-0 going into the 7th inning. They got it back to 2-1. They got some people on base, but I think there was like a double play and a strikeout, and they lost 2-1. But just like everybody said, I mean, just that story, and that's, you know, that's the one thing you look in his office and it's one of the things that he gravitated to, is that was a special thing from those players, that they saw, you know, the superintendent of their schools take care of them, do their laundry, I mean, what is that all about? That's pretty cool. So in my research, there's pictures out there. So there's this picture I'm going to talk about. There's a bunch of pictures of the players, but this is the back of the Milan bus, way back in 2011. And I thought it pretty much sums up Mr. Gearbaugh's career, and I'll talk about it. So in this corner of the back of the bus is the exponential function, e to the x. So that pretty much represents Mr. Gearbaugh as the math teacher. And then there's this heart, so exponential love. And just seeing this picture, I was just like, this exemplifies that ball in your office and what you did for that team and what you've done for that community. Your love for the community, as everybody said, your love for the students. We sincerely appreciate it. You didn't pay me to say this, so I appreciate the compliment.
I buttered him up.
I know, it's, no, I appreciate that. But I think that exemplifies exactly what you mean to this district and what everybody inherits from you, and that you've allowed other people to take to other districts, like you talked about with Ms. Halber and Mr. Kudlak. It does not go unnoticed of your leadership beyond Milan as well. So thank you from the board. Thank you from the community. We sincerely appreciate your service. So thank you. Any other comments? All right, I need a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Section 81C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act for negotiation strategies.
Moved by Heika.
Support by Burdette.
Been moved and supported to enter into closed session pursuant to Section 81C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act for negotiation strategies. There will be no other business before the board after the closed session. You are welcome to stay if you want. We'll just have adjournment afterwards, so. It's been moved and supported to enter into closed session pursuant to Section 81C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act for negotiation strategies. Ms. Murray?
Murray, yes. Pryor?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Burdette?
Yes.
Farah?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Heika?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, we're going into closed session at 8:47 PM. Thank you for everyone attending. Please drive home safely. All right, we are returning to open session at 10:01 PM. And we are going to adjourn at 10:01 PM.